I just felt the most horrific pain. I knew something really bad had happened, and I wasn't sure whether the bone was out of the skin, whether it was in. I didn't know.
There's been a few times when I could see Luke in a position where he was thinking about giving up.
We certainly didn't say you need to or you have to quit, but obviously there were times when we discussed, is it an option?
There's no way you're going to be able to compete again. They even said, you know, I wouldn't even think that you'd be able to run again. Like, it really shocked me. I couldn't believe it. Still to this day, I still don't believe it. I said to them, I'm really sorry guys, but I really don't think I can come back from this. I think I'm done.
Luke is a very determined athlete. He's had a lot of ups and downs in his career, but I think he's a very single-minded guy. Like, he knows what he wants to do. He's had like I said, a lot of ups and downs, and he's always battled back to competition fitness.
I think it's that drive, you know, that drive to success. He's always got goals. He's very goal-driven. Each session, he's always writing down sort of targets for that session, or he's discussed them beforehand. So it's those goals that drive you each session, to each week, to each month, and then finally the competition.
But away from the gym, you know, I'm also very good friends with him. He's a great friend to have around. He's a great laugh. So I think he's a cool guy, and he works hard.
So that personal drive for success is very, very key, and that is irreplaceable. If you've got a gymnast who's got that intrinsic desire to do well, then you've got a good gymnast.
I would say probably Commonwealth Games finalist was my most proudest moment, my greatest achievement yet. I was quite young when I went into the Commonwealth Games. I was quite new to like big competitions like that, and I made the all-round final, which I was really happy with. Had some personal bests as well, so I was really happy with that achievement. Once I had the go-ahead that I'd qualified for Commonwealth Games, and you know I was definitely going to get going, I had the decision to whether to train like I was, which was, you know, pretty much 3 hours a day, 6 days a week, or really try and step it up and take gym seriously and to the next level. And I had that decision to make, so I made the right decision, I believe, and I came here, I moved here, and I started training full time, twice a day, 6 hours a day, 32 hours plus a week. Working with people like Daniel Keatons and Luke Falwell and Lewis and stuff, it's unbelievable. You know, I'd never really been in that atmosphere before. Training back in Belfast, I'd always kind of be training by myself and maybe with one other person. So to come here and train with 6 or 7 lads, like much better than me, just below me, the same level as me, it was perfect. It was the best atmosphere that you could ever want for training. I think 2011 I had my best results at British Championships. You know, I had personal bests all around and like 4 or 5 individual ones. Everything was going my way. Things were looking really up for World Championships, which was in, you know, several weeks, but just after British Championships. So I got the okay that I'd qualified to Tokyo World Championships. So I was over the moon. I was thinking, right, this is going to be my year. I'm going to do this. And I started to develop this niggly pain in my tibia, my leg, and it wasn't going away. I was still doing 6 pieces, and I was still working, training hard, and things started to be a little bit strange, where like walking upstairs or things out of gym were starting to hurt. You know, as soon as I'd get out of bed, that would be the first thing I would feel, and I started getting a little bit worried about it. So about 2 weeks before I was due to leave to World Championships, I went and got a scan in Cambridge at an orthopaedic specialist, and they discovered that there was a stress fracture in there. Now, it was their opinion that they said, I don't think that you should go to World Championships to compete. This is a bit of a hard stress fracture, as in it's notorious for not healing because of the place that it's in. It's right in the centre of the tibia. So I was in 2 places. You know, I was thinking, I'm stronger than I've ever been before. I feel so good. I can't let this injury stop me going to Tokyo. So I decided to keep quiet and actually not tell my federation about it. You know, I knew that Tokyo was very important. I knew that it was a competition to gain Ireland a spot for Olympic Games. So, you know, when Olympic Games comes into the equation, nothing's going to stop you. You will do whatever it takes. You know, I would have happily broken my leg to qualify to Olympic Games. There's sometimes something in your head that says, well, I'll block that out, I'll be okay. And I went to Tokyo. I had to reduce my difficulty on vault and floor because the pain was just a bit too much. I did an okay competition, not too bad. You know, I didn't make any falls, which was always a plus. But it just, you know, it was messing with my head. Every landing was painful. When I was doing my routine, I was thinking about, well, the pain in my leg and, you know, what's going to happen. Well, I came back and there was still no word on exactly what was going to happen with Olympics, so I kept pushing and pushing. I then was told that the spot wasn't going to be for me and it was going to be for another gymnast, so I still wanted to prove that I was going to be on top, which was very hard to do, and I ended up that I couldn't really do it all round. I had to stop floor and vault, it was just too much, so I reduced myself down to 4 pieces, and I did European Championships as well. But by the time European Championships came around, that's when I said enough, because I was in so much pain. And no, I didn't tell anyone really. I didn't talk to anyone about it, except for like my friends and family back here. I didn't talk to anyone really in the team about it, because I didn't want to bring anyone down or have anyone worry, but I was in so much pain. It was just horrible. After I came back from European Championships, I went for another scan, and the doctors phoned me up the day later that my results came back, and they said, stop training. You have a cavity in your bone now. You know, it's not just a stress fracture, it's a hole. So they said, stop training, you cannot do any impact on this. This is a ticking time bomb basically. You need to have this operation now, Luke, enough's enough. So when I got the results back and I saw myself, the damage, then I just thought, right, well, let's not be silly. Olympics isn't going to happen. Let's get this sorted now, and then come back next year and do all round again and come back stronger and fitter than before. So I came back, I did my rehab, I stayed motivated, I stayed thinking about the future and what, like planning my routines for the next year and how I would come back and prove to everyone that, you know, I'm not a write-off, I'm coming back.
I've known Luke too long. I've known him since he was about 13, 14 years of age. I did a competition in Pennsylvania, United States, back in 2001. It was the first sort of meeting with him, and then you could just see in his eyes, you know, he saw all these other wonderful gymnasts out there, and he wanted to be like them, you know, and he wasn't going to stop at anything until he got there. So I think we've always known he's not a quitter. He'll sometimes take a step back, readdress the situation or whatever, but Luke's no quitter.
Again, yeah, 2013, I thought, let's do this, let's come back. I'm stronger and fitter than ever. I felt really strong. I felt my legs felt really good. I was doing my proper vaults again. My full difficulty on floor, and things were looking fantastic for me, really positive. Just before World Championships, Ireland had a pre-Worlds training camp up in Lowestoft in England. and we had what's called a control competition. Things were going great. I'd done a nice floor routine. I went to pommels, did a nice pommel routine, went to rings, did a nice rings routine. I was feeling really positive about the day, competition. Then we came to vault, and I did my normal warm-up with my legs. I ran down the vault. I did a warm-up vault, a straight full twist kazumatsu, and sat down for 5 minutes waiting for the judges to be ready. Put my hand up, ran down that vault, and as soon as I took off from the springboard, I just felt the most horrific pain in my leg. I blocked on the horse and kind of did a half somersault and started out to try and slow my rotation down because I knew something had just happened bad in my leg. Came down onto my back with my right leg trying to take most of the impact, and basically just started screaming and saying a few naughty words. And so I lay there for about 20 minutes until the ambulance came. Not once did I look down. I was too scared to look down because I didn't have a clue what was going on. I knew something really bad had happened, and I wasn't sure whether the bone was out of the skin, whether it was in. I didn't know. So once the ambulance came, they got the gas on me, they got the painkillers, and I got a bit of courage and I looked down. Thankfully it wasn't a compound fracture, but it was apparent that the bone was poking up and poking against the skin. And really the surgeons had said to me that the only reason the bone didn't come through the skin was because of that plate that was already there. That stopped the injury becoming a lot worse. So I went to hospital in the ambulance, and x-rays came back and my tibia had snapped in half. And when I was really scared to look at the x-rays. The x-rays were like to my right here, and I was on the stretcher, and I was just like, and I looked and I saw it, and my heart just sank. And you know, everything that I'd been working for that year and everything that was building up, I really felt like this was going to be my World Championships. I was really aiming for all-round final, and I felt very positive about it all. And I couldn't believe that almost to the day, it was a year later from my first operation, almost to the day. And I almost laughed. Like I just couldn't believe it. I thought, how could this possibly have happened almost exactly a year later that this injury has happened, but 10 times worse. Initially the doctors were very negative. The doctors that I first saw, they were very blunt about it all. They just said, I'm sorry, but you know, this is a nasty tibia snap. There's no way you're going to be able to compete again. They even said, you know, I wouldn't even think that you'd be able to run again outside on a hard surface. So for me to hear that from the day before, thinking, oh, I'm really feeling positive about World Championships, to 24 hours later being told that I might not ever be able to run outside again, I couldn't believe it. Part of me was like, no, there's no way. But when a medical doctor and a team of medical people are telling you that this is serious, it's a bit nerve-wracking, you know, and it's a bit like it hits home. And initially, yeah, I just thought, I'm sorry, there's no way I can come back. I went to the same surgeon in London, who was, you know, top of his orthopaedic field. He's highly respected, and so he sat me down and he said, you have 3 options, Luke. You can leave it as it is, and probably almost certainly it will heal incorrectly and you won't be able to compete again. We can do the same surgery as last time and hope that that's enough, or we can do what's called an intramedullary nail, where they put a titanium rod in through the knee and down the tibia, reconstruct the bone, and then put a few screws in there as well. And initially I was like, I'm not having that rod surgery, that's major surgery, no way, let's do what we did before. And then he sat me down again and said, look, really, you only have 1 option. I've told you 3, but really you have 1, and that's the intramedullary nail. So he said he could do it the following Tuesday. and so I had 24 hours to think about it. And I spoke to my parents, I spoke to my teammates, and I spoke to Irish Gymnastics, and I decided, I've got the rest of my life to think about, not just gymnastics, and I need this to heal, and I need it to heal correctly. So I went for the intramedullary nail, which is quite a big operation. I think in total it took nearly 5 hours, which was a big operation to have. And it was 2 days after I was lying in hospital, and I turned on the news and I saw my friends from GB, Christian Thomas and Max Whitlock. I saw them on the news and they just won their medals at World Championships. And I saw how happy they were and how everything paid off, and they were just on top of the world. And I saw that and I just thought, there's no way, I'm not done yet. I can't finish yet. I've been through so much already. I can't pack it in now. And it was at that moment I realised I'm not done. I'm going to come back.
He would have come back in the next day if he could, but the support of all the coaches and his family sort of saying, yeah, take your time, you'll get there. But we've just been there for him as best as we possibly can and give positive words of advice.
My mind was made up. There was nothing going to stop me. Even if someone said, no, don't do it, it's a bad idea, it wasn't going to stop me. I knew that I had to come back. I had unfinished business with gymnastics, and I had to prove myself once again, because I'd had such bad luck for the last few years that I just said, right, enough of this. I'm changing my luck. I don't care what fate has for me in store. I'm making my own luck now, and I'm coming back, and I'm going to be better than I ever have been before.
The motto, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger, sort of thing. It's always going to come back, and I think, that personal drive to get to the Commonwealth Games is always there, and he was never going to give up without a fight. So that that desire, that burning desire to have at least one more good competition under his belt, has kept him going. Good support from friends, family, everybody rallying around. He's got a good network of people behind him, and we're a great family here as also. We want to look after each other and do well. Gymnasts inspire off each other. So if you've got a couple of training partners, that pulls you up, that pulls you on.
Well, I try my best. I've had about a year and a half out from the sport, so I remember training with him while he had some of his injuries, and then I obviously went away for a while, did some other things. But now I'm back in the gym. It's pretty much just me and Luke, and I just try and keep it relaxed, because he's quite an intense guy. Sometimes he can work himself up and get stressed, and I try and bring a sense of normality to training. I try and crack jokes. I tell him about stories, and just try and keep things chilled. But if he doesn't do something right, he really kind of beats himself up about it, which is good, but I think too often is a downfall. So I just try and keep things smooth.
I feel like my comeback's going really well. I'm really happy and proud of what I've achieved in such a short period of time. It's only just over 4 months since my operation, and doctors were giving me 6 months minimum to maybe a year to come back to do full impact stuff. So I've blown them out of the water with just my own motivation and determination to do what I want to do.
I think what drives Luke is wanting to be able to prove people wrong. I think he's had a few people tell him, probably, the injuries are too bad, or you're not going to make it. So I think he's very much believes in his own ability. Me and the coach believe he can get to where he needs to be. But I think he is a very strong personality, and I think that's what makes him want to prove so many people wrong, that he is or can be one of the best in the world.
I know that I can do a lot more. I know that I have not reached my potential yet due to bad luck. With these injuries, it's almost every time I'm on the edge of just breaking through to the next level and showing everyone that I'm a great gymnast, something sets me back, an injury or something like that. So now with reducing, I'm not doing all round now, so the risk of any leg injury is pretty much eliminated. So that's really what motivates me, to think that I know in my head that I can do these certain routines, and if I hit them, I'll be exactly where I want to be.
The important goal really is to get back where he was, to get to a competitive standard that that he feels he's back where he should be, and try and do clean routines. That's the main thing. And then from that we can sit down and say, right, okay, where do we go next?
Commonwealth Games is my biggest goal. I've hit the qualifying scores once already, which I was over the moon with. So I need to just keep hitting them to prove to the Commonwealth Games Committee that, you know, I'm back. I'm not a write-off. So I need to keep proving to them in Northern Irish Gymnastics and Irish Gymnastics that I am back. I'm serious about this and I'm going to do it.
It's remarkable to see, you know, what's happened in the last 2 or 3 years, of all the things that's gone wrong, for him still to be here, still motivated, still wanting to be one of the best in the world. You know, I think a lot of people can learn something from Luke.
Well, certainly they've made me a much stronger person, you know, mentally and physically. I feel like I can almost overcome anything. To go through what I've gone through with Olympic Games and just before World Championships, like that injury, I know that I can overcome anything. As long as you stay motivated and your determination is exactly where you want it to be, you really can do anything you put your mind to. The difference between the impossible and the possible lies in a person's determination.